By then, I was assistant minister and special administrative assistant to the Minister of Education, Dr. Evertus Huff. When we got a letter from President Talbot to Dr. Huff, and since I was assistant minister and special assistant to the minister, I had to open the letter before Dr. Huff got it. And that letter from President Talbot stated clearly that he intended for Mr. Sirleaf to return to Liberia to serve as Deputy Minister of Finance, and that she had made certain stipulations which the President was directing the Education Minister to facilitate. Number one, that she would prefer housing near the Finance Ministry, preferably the penthouse on top of the Ministry of Education, and some other things which you will read in my book. Well, those concessions were made, and she came back home to become Deputy Minister of Finance. Then the OAU came around, and there evolved a major dispute between the Minister of Finance, James T. Phillips, and a senator from Masurado County, or Representative A.B. Talbot. By that time, the government of Liberia was seeking to rent a floating ship, hotel ship, to host journalists and delegates coming to the OAU. And by that time, I had been transferred from the Ministry of Education because Dr. Huff came from the airport, Roberts Field, one day and told me that Minister Jenkins Peel has appealed to me that you should please assign you to the Ministry of Information to help him prepare for the OAU. And I have agreed, so please, next week, go take up your assignment. So then I transferred from being a special assistant, administrative assistant to the Minister of Education, to being a special assistant to the Minister of Information. And I must tell you, as I'm telling all of our young people, my mom sold her cool ale and dry meat until she died. She never went to school. My father went to school and stopped in the 6th grade Royal Reader. But my Congo old lady taught me how to read and write. And I cannot be a dumb boy. I took exam for special assistant, administrative assistant, everything, editor-in-chief of a New Liberian newspaper. I took exam. The civil service had an exam for every position. I do not know whether the state got it. If they do not have it, I do not know why. People should start taking exam for every position they hold. You see my laminated civil service letter from September 14, 1976. I'm keeping it laminated. Water can't hammer it. Our young people should learn how to wait and learn how to learn the raw book so they can live anywhere. The war came, I went to America, I didn't die, I didn't work in any place, clean those sick people. I went to school and got a master's degree in divinity. I was pastor for 5 years. Right now, I'm on pension. I got my paper here to show my pension in 2005 was $20,800. When I get 70 years old, they will give it to me. I don't know how much it is now. I don't want to know because it will just tease me. I left and I went to study counseling. Our young people must learn how to learn the raw book. Whether you're man selling fufu or not, it doesn't have anything to do with your brains. So I went to the Ministry of Information and prepared for the OAU. And I was special assistant to the Minister Peel when April 14 broke out. I was in the center of April 14. My friend Gangala was on the other side. I was on the other side. We were still friends. So I'm just giving you the headlines because tomorrow we'll discuss that. We can't go into April 14 now. But I was there when James Phillips and A.B. Talbot had a dispute. James T. Phillips went and got a Greek ship to come here. A.B. Talbot went and got a brand new French ship to come here. And so this competition was whether the Greeks or the French were going to win. So we went to the organizational meeting and it was being discussed. It was never concluded. And suddenly it was announced that the Greek ship had been rewarded the contract. it means that Phillips Company, or Phillips Group that he was supporting, had won the contract over AB Tauber Group. I'm telling you all of this to tell you what went into weakening the system. The system didn't fall because somebody from outside just pushed the system. The system fell from inside. The same with the door system was going to fall anyway. If nobody had brought war here, it would have gone downhill. And I got the story, and I'm going to tell the story. Phillips paid his people in advance for the ship. AB got concerned that Phillips had done something that was out of order because the whole bidding system had not gone through. So when you look in the New Liberian newspaper, in the government newspaper, there was a banner headline that Phillips had received bribe for the ship. The story was carried by a guy called Afroman UO Canada, Alex Best, and all these older people that would know Canada. So Peel, Minister Jenkins Peel, who was a Minister of Information, he's still alive in America. His son works as head of the Freeport Police. You can get in contact with him and double check it. Peel went to a cabinet meeting and came back very furious, very furious. He came back and said, Bowier, I said, yeah, you see how the people want to put me in trouble? I said, what happened? He said, you saw the headline about Phillips? I said, yes, sir. How could they publish that kind of thing? The president is now asking me, how could they publish that kind of thing about a fellow colleague in the cabinet? The president is behind me for this. So I got to get to the bottom of this. Call out Afroman here. Afroman was somebody who came from Nigeria and became Liberian and all like that. So you know that's a prejudice there too. So go call out Mayor Costa here. I want to call him. Costa means people who come from down the coast. Okay, that's how they used to call them. So Canada came and Peel asked him, who gave you this story? Who did this? Who did that? And Canada said, I cannot disclose my source to you. Peel said, what? He said, but Minister Peel, you went to school, you got a master's degree in journalism, and you know the journalist cannot disclose his source. Peel said, let me tell you something. This one here did no journalism. You tell me who did this, or you be dismissed. So I said, Minister Peel, could I go and talk with him for a while? He said, yes. So I took Mr. Canada into my office, the special assistant office, and I sat him down and said, you know what happened? We know you're not supposed to disclose your source, but there's a time for everything. There's a time for you to tell us the truth, because the president of Liberia is behind the minister, thinking that the minister is behind this thing. So who gave you this story? He said, you see the president behind it? I said, yeah, the president is concerned. He said, no, the president can't be concerned. I said, what do you mean by that? He said, oh, but AB brought me this story and said he passed him or publish the story so he can deal with Phillips. I said, are you sure? He said, yeah. Can you repeat this in front of Minister Peel? He said, yeah. So let's go by in there. Went by in the office. I said, Minister Peel? He said, yeah. I said, I want to inform you that the New Liberian will stand by his story because our source is unimpeachable. He said, Bowier, what do you mean by that? Then I gave him the whole deal. He said, oh, that's what they want to do with me. He picked up the telephone, I'll write a call. Mr. President, he said, yes, I want to let you know that we stand by this story because our source is unimpeachable. And he put the phone down. I said, what happened? He said, the president just put the phone down. So once you trace it back to the source, the whole case died. The next week, Philip resigned. And Ellen Sirleaf was made finance minister. So Ellen Sirleaf was not made finance minister because she gave 2 people the money. She was made finance minister because Phillips and AB had a fuss, and Phillips got a worse end of the stick, and they needed to put somebody there. And Tauber had called Ellen back, and she was principal deputy in line to succession. So I just like to clear the air. That's all. I just want to also inform you, as a matter of the headlines for you to keep for next time, for the details, that besides being Special Assistant to the Minister of Education, Minister of Information, I also went on to become Editor-in-Chief of the New Liberian newspaper under Tom Kamara, our Deputy Editor under Tom Kamara, who now with the New Democrat. I say he was my boss man. I used to try to cool Tom down. I said, Tom, you just came from abroad, man. You got to cool down. Tom was just an American fellow who couldn't cool down. One day, Tom came up with a big headline, The Two Faces of Tucson, FACES. On the left-hand side, he put head of state Doe home plus a home of all his relatives. On the right-hand side, he put the other side of Tucson that got all the rundown houses. And he talked about the two faces of Tucson. Well, I must tell you that on the last day he was editor, his editorship ended that day. They said, Bowier, you take over. I said, okay. That was 1981. No, 82. 82. By 83, things have started to get bad. We had the Nimba raid, we had all kinds of raids, and we had people ambush, some soldiers ambush their friends on the Bombing Hill Road who are going to pay people, the battalion up there. All kinds of things were happening. Schools were starting to suffer from subsidies and all kinds of things. So I got fed up with a bit of it, and the Tom Camara spirit got in me. And on the first Monday in January 1983, the first week in January 1983, Weedeh Koba was Assistant Minister of Information. She is alive. She right here. God had kept all my witnesses alive. 1983, first week in January, I brought up this editorial in the New Liberia entitled Lest We Forget. Talking about how the same reason why they overthrew the Toba government, it has started to happen again. I went home that night, slept well, went back to office. By about 2 o'clock, I got a call from Weedeh. By the time the New Liberian operated from the E.J. Roy building, got a call from Weedeh Koba, Assistant Minister. Bowier, I said, yeah, come to my office immediately. So I got in the car, went to the Information Ministry. I got there. She said, Bowier, I said, yes. She said, so what are you now? Are you a preacher? Are you a journalist or what? I said, what kind of headline is this? Lest we forget. What kind of headline is this? I said, but Weedeh, what do you want me to do? The same that happened before happening again. I got to warn people. I said, isn't that the same thing we talk about when we're at the university? She said, look, Bowier, let me tell you, we're not at the university and this is no play. This is life and death here. He said, do you know that Minister Naga had been sent for to the mansion? And the head of state is angry about this? Okay, sit down, let Minister Naga come by, let hear what happened. I sat down, the Minister Naga came back with 2 letters. One letter removed me from the New Liberian newspaper, another letter appointing Dapo to succeed me. That's how I left the New Liberian that day. Okay. Why I'm telling you all this is because some people just think that some of us just been around here, stooges of the system, just saying yes sir to everything. I'm not a yes sir person. President Doe, or head of state and President Doe, because he was head of state for some time, he was president for some time, he was in office in a total of 10 years. Every year that he was in office, I was taken to him for being against him, including the last year that he died. If you call a man, I'm telling you now, people take note, there's a man called Valentine. He controlled the archives in the mansion until recently when they retired him. Go to him, let him check May 1990. The last letter they wrote to Doe to tell him I was against him is there. The people who wrote it, their name there. Valentine can help you find it. For 10 years, I was taken to him 10 times to say I was against him, simply because I was speaking the truth. Because my mouth wouldn't keep quiet. I was not born to keep quiet. My brother who joined the army, you can sit here down the whole day, you will not move, you will not talk, nothing. Me, I got to talk. I got to talk. I got to say what I got to say. In college, ask Daniel City, who now work with Yinabo. My nickname in college was Views. Because I always say I got to express my views. I got to express my views. I got to talk. When Elizabeth Collins, who was senator from Bond County, went and slapped my roommate, Morgan. I forgot, he died during the war, Ernest Morgan. Slapped him with her finger ring and cut his face. I issue a bulletin here on the Senate charging them with misuse of authority. And the last paragraph said when people misuse the authority vested in them, the power must return to the people. All of this happened long before 1980. So what I want to tell you is that everybody in this town got a story to tell. Not just one group. And the last thing I want to say before we go tonight is this. I do not want our young people to feel that one group of people in this country were talking against the bad in this country. It's not true. From all you hear, it will look like only indigenous people were talking against the bad and all the Congo people were involved in the bad, so their children were not talking. That's not true. The revolution started with Congo children. I repeat, the revolution started with Congo children. Do you remember Victoria A. Jesus Weeks, the brother of Kimi Weeks? He published in this country the first really vibrant opposition paper called the Revelation magazine. Here is a copy of the Revelation magazine. The Revelation magazine. Victor Weeks, his father was Minister of Foreign Affairs when he was publishing this thing against the government. So if we want to be revolutionaries and want to talk the truth, we should not make it look like just Congo children being talking. The Congo children talk too. Victor Weeks' uncle had a problem with Stephen Talbot, Mesurado and Oreo group of companies. That's why Abapo had to write a pamphlet called Liberalization of Goblin Businesses. Why would people who know the truth want to just show one side of this thing? Now, I'm called Quiescence Country Blood. So I'm now an NSI. I got to stand in the center of the room and remind people. Victor Weeks went to jail. The Congo system put him in jail for joining country people to oppose the government. He went to jail in this country. After the Revelation magazine came the Revolution magazine from the backers Matthew and his group. After the magazine came the Tribulation magazine. After the Tribulation magazine, then the TRC had a Redemption magazine. So you see all the theological themes we had in our struggle: the revolution, the revelation, the revolution, the tribulation, the redemption. Why you want to forget? Why did we forget, or do we intend to just show this thing that only the country people children were doing something? Now I'm a countrywoman child. I am my Italian son. But I'm not going to be intellectually dishonest to just show that only country people are doing this thing. A lot of Congo people suffer this thing. S.T. Richards had a printing press in this town. He opposed President Tubman. Said President Tubman should not get married to the woman he was married to before he died. Why? Because the American boys were on the airport there, they were the young girls in town. And S.T. Richards said, you cannot marry this woman. The next morning he got her, his printing press had disappeared. And the rumor is that he got dumped in the Maserati River. A Congo man from our river. Why do we want to make this thing look this way? That as if only the country children being talking about it, the Congo children be doing. That's why I say, I am Quiescence Country Blood, and I'm an NSI. So you know me now. You having your Congo meeting, don't call me. You having your country meeting, don't call me. You having your Liberian meeting, I will be there. I'm tired of the foolishness in this country. Want to make everything look one-sided. Country Congo, country Congo. The average country man won't marry a Congo girl. The average Congo woman lusting after a country man. And won't make it look like something. I am the one who's going to stand in the center like Joshua and command the moon and the sun to stand still until we solve this problem. I think I've talked enough for tonight. I'm tired. I need to go to sleep. If you want to ask me a question, you can start. I'm tired talking, but I can answer questions.
Mr. Witness?
Yes, sir.
We control our time, please.
Okay, I'm saying I'm tired talking. All I've given you were the headlines. So I'm tired with the headlines. So if you want to ask me a question, I can talk, I can answer them, but I cannot talk anymore because my time for talking ran out. I know you control the time. I will talk if you ask me a question, but I don't want to say any more of my. All I give you a headline. I haven't gone into detail yet. I haven't told you how I was working in the foreign service in Washington D.C. for 10 months. We had no ambassador, and I had to be in contact with the American government. I haven't told you how the American government was looking for somebody to succeed though, and they called me to the State Department to talk about it. I haven't told you anything yet, young man.
Okay, Mr. Witness. Mr. Witness?
Yes, sir.
We understand you are tired and we respect that.
Yeah, I'm an old man. I'm 58.
I understand.
Thank you.
So we'll resume tomorrow morning with questioning.
Thank you very much. No, I will have to talk a little bit before you question me.
No, during the question you can bring out.
Oh, that's good. Thank you very much.
Well, okay.
Thank